Hello and welcome to Down to the Wire. I'm Ross.
I'm Bryce.
We got a good show for you today. We're going to be having some news from every single sport, including hockey this week. So tune in.
So we have some different news than usual for you guys, some hockey news. For the last few years now, Seattle has been slowly constructing a new hockey team, an expansion team for the NHL to even out the league. So then there will be 15 teams for the Western Conference and the East. They decided that their name will now be the Kraken. There was basically a fan voting system, and the poll came down to a few names: the Sockeyes, the Totems, and apparently the CEO of the team didn't even know what a Kraken was. But they finally decided on the Krakens. Um, I'll just give my opinion real quick on just the branding. I really like the symbol. Um, the jerseys are pretty nice. They also have anchors on the shoulders of the jerseys. The colors probably could have used a little more variety, but the colors are pretty nice too. And we'll see. I'm pretty sure the expansion draft will just be after this season, and then the entire team and organization will be completely implemented into the league next season. Hopefully, it's not a freaking all-star expansion draft like what happened a few years ago with the Golden Knights. But yeah,
I'm going to be honest with you. The S, it's nice, but they should have changed it up because the S is with the Mariners. I think there could have been a little bit more to the logo. I know they wanted to maybe go simplistic, but um, as we're talking about this, I was looking up the Mariners, and they are losing 6-1 to the Astros. I don't know how it's already the fifth inning and they're losing 6-1, but that's besides the
it's
point.
because they don't have.
Um,
That's why.
yeah, I mean, I guess so. But yeah, I like the anchor logo and the Seattle part with the Kraken. I mean, the Kraken part again looks like they took it from Gary Sanchez's logo and stuff when they used the Kraken with the Yankees. So I mean, like, I don't really know. I mean, this doesn't look too. There could have been more into it. I feel like with the
Right.
logo, but it was a simplistic logo. I like the look. And yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's like a little bit of red in there. I think that's just to like represent like a scary looking eye or something. I mean, I liked how like the S kind of had like the ripples to show like a tentacle, but I don't know, I thought it
yeah,
was cool.
yeah. No, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. I just think there could have been more to some of the logos that they used, or there could have been ways they could have definitely made it, in my opinion, look a little more intricate. But this was the same problem when they were coming with the Golden Knights and all that stuff, and people didn't like that
The
logo.
Golden Knights was really simple and generic. I don't know
Yeah.
what was up with that.
Okay. So for our one thing of football news today, we have very sad news coming out of the New York Jets organization. Jamal Adams has been traded to the Seattle Seahawks. I almost said Seattle Kraken. Look at that. Getting me confused and sad. They traded Jamal Adams and a fourth round pick for two firsts, a third round pick, and I do not know how to pronounce his name, but one of their safeties on their team. I do not know exactly what his name is, but nowhere close to as good as Jamal Adams, and never heard of him like Jamal Adams. So, Bryce, what are your thoughts on this one?
Man, this is a hard hit for the Jets. If I were them, I would have just been like, "Hey Jamal, too bad you gotta play for us. We don't care if you're demanding a trade. We don't care if you don't like it here." So, this hurts their defense a lot. I mean, maybe I'm completely off here because I'm not a Jets fan, but I mean, two firsts and a third, it's pretty nice. And those picks will be in 2021. So those are really valuable picks. Nonetheless, you still lost like arguably your best defensive player on the team. So, I mean, if you want to win now, then that was really stupid. But if
Yeah.
you are just waiting to be good in the future, then maybe those picks will be good for you.
So the name of the player they got was Bradley McDougald. I don't see now. I don't know. I mean, as a Jets fan, I just wanted to walk up and leave when Bryce said we had to talk about this today. To be honest with you, but I mean, looking at it as a Jets fan, the only reason I'm unhappy, well, two reasons. First is I think I brought this up before when we mentioned Jamal Adams of the Jets. If you think you're that close to a playoff push, wouldn't you want to keep the guy who is literally the anchor to your defense, or maybe one of the two anchors to your defense? I understand he's a safety and he's not Darrelle Revis, where you want to pay a cornerback. You never really want to pay safeties like that. But the guy did more than just safety. He was sometimes right behind the defensive line, going to the quarterback. There was a lot more this guy was doing at 24, and to think it will be 26 when they can even try to re-sign him or franchise tag him, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, and especially that they could have gotten more potentially from the Cowboys. There was no doubt in my mind they could have gotten 2 first rounds and maybe even a second from the Cowboys, because we know the Cowboys like to just trade, spend. So I just want to cry right now in my bed.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense to me either, especially knowing that you as a Jets fan believe that you can make the playoffs either this year or a year or two from now at worst.
See,
So
Bryce,
I'm not sure.
no, you think that I think that. That's what you think. I don't think they'll make the playoffs any year. But if there was any year that they had a chance at making the playoffs, maybe not next year, but definitely the year after, within these next 2-3 years, are there shots at really going for a playoff push. But yet again, anything better than 5 wins, I think, is a win for me at this point. But yeah, at this point, just bring Ryan Fitzpatrick back, let him do some Fitzmagic for a year, and then just, yeah, I don't know. I guess I want to cry.
So we're moving on to some basketball news for you guys. The Knicks signed Tom Thibodeau as their head coach for the next 5 years. We don't know how much money it is yet, and knowing the Knicks, they'll probably fire him 1 or 2 years into his contract. But what are your thoughts on this, Ross?
It'll be, I think, about a month before they fire him. But I know I do I like it? I mean, I don't know why yesterday everyone was like, "Oh, Jason Kidd's like gonna be the next guy," and they were talking like Jason Kidd's making a push for it, and then boom, Tom Thibodeau. Like, I don't really, I don't think there was any doubt. I think the other coaches they were potentially looking at were just to kind of make it a little aggressive so people could see it, that they were looking at not just Tom Thibodeau, but Leon Rose was apparently with Thibodeau, or he was like the coach. He was something with Rose and all that, Derrick Rose, and then Leon Rose. But it was something where they all had a connection, and I mean, I'm just waiting until Joakim Noah gets back to the Knicks. Derrick Rose comes back. They try to trade for Jimmy Butler, and that's just it's gonna all start coming. Like at this point, Kirk Heinrich is gonna come out of retirement and come back. So like, this is what's gonna happen. I'm not too happy about it. But Thibodeau is a good coach, I guess, and we'll see what happens.
I do think Thibodeau can be a head coach, a fairly successful head coach in the NBA again, and I think he had probably about uh, 3 realistic destinations, that being the Knicks, the Nets, and the Rockets. I wanted to see him go to the Rockets more than anyone else after D'Antoni's contract is up, because if the Rockets don't want to keep D'Antoni around, you know, not only is it going to be because they can't even make it to the conference finals, but they probably want to see some change. They probably don't want to do a small ball thing anymore if that's not going to work out for them. And Tom Thibodeau is definitely not a small ball guy. Um, I mean, and I didn't want to see him go to the Nets because you know he's probably gonna he has an old philosophy. I don't know if he's gonna change his game plan or not. Because if he was the coach of the Nets, we both know that he would be starting Jarrett Allen and DeAndre Jordan, which would just be kind of weird. Um, I mean, this isn't like a terrible signing at all. I am kind of skeptical because, I mean, he likes playing his veterans, and that's what the Knicks have been doing all season. And for the last time, they need to be playing their young guys. So I'm just afraid that he's not going to develop the young guys. Um, Nonetheless, in general, I mean, I do think he can be a good coach and lead the Knicks towards more success than usual.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see how this plays out.
I really think Mike Miller was a good option. I think they could have rid one more season with him and see what happened. but he didn't play any of the young guys at all. And I don't know. I mean, I liked Fizdale for the one reason he played his young guys. So
Right.
it's not a bad signing. I think it's just whether you liked it or not. And I didn't really love it. It's like I don't know. I think since after he left the Bulls, I've just been like, with Tom Thibodeau's name, I just look at it and I'm like, eh. You saw what happened at the Timberwolves, and it's just like, eh. Like I don't know. I mean, he had one or two of the best players in the league, and he couldn't do anything. But also, Jimmy Butler was apparently going crazy on everyone. But I don't know. I mean, that's just Jimmy Butler and his mentality. And if you can't coach that, then you can't coach anything. To be honest with you, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, there's rumors that Tom Thibodeau wants to get um, Mike Woodson on his coaching staff, which would be awesome because I miss Mike Woodson, and I don't know why the hell he was fired. Um, but I mean, I would have liked to see someone like this might be funny because Stephen A. Smith says this every time he gets the chance, but Mark Jackson. Um, but
I
I
don't
mean,
like Mark Jackson, to be honest with you. There was some of the stuff he was when he was with the Warriors. I don't think that were great. I don't think Mark Jackson is a good choice to have on that bench.
I
So
mean, I don't. I mean, I know. I mean, I don't know. I think Mark Jackson like didn't quite reach his ceiling, although I think he could have. But I don't know. Like I said, I mean, we'll see how this plays out.
all right, for some more NBA news. The Nuggets played the Wizards for their first scrimmage a couple days ago, and Bol Bol had started at small forward, not power forward, not center, but small forward, where they had Nikola Jokic at the one, Jeremy Grant at the two, Millsap at the four. We already mentioned the three with Bol Bol, and then the five was Mason Plumlee. So they did completely anti-Rockets and did the opposite. Bol did end up doing good. He had 16 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 blocks. And immediately after that game, he got randomly selected to get a drug test. So, Bryce, what are you thinking about this one?
I have been a huge fan of Bol Bol ever since even before the draft, like when he was back in college. And then he got injured, and then the draft happened, and everyone was kind of sleeping on him. He was going to be a top five pick, and his stock dropped after that injury, and he got drafted like 44th. And then that was the Heat drafted him, and then the Nuggets traded for him, or maybe the Heat dropped him, and then the Nuggets picked him up. But that was I always well, I mean, we'll see what happens in the future, but I think that was a steal for the Nuggets because um, I don't know. I think I like him a lot more than a lot of other people. I think a lot of people overlook him, and I mean that's a great performance for his debut. And he was in the G League like all year long. So I mean, you know, I really like this Nuggets roster. If they keep Bobo around, I think he can be a really great player for them, an impact guy. I'll even go ahead and say future All-Star. That might be a bold statement, but you know,
I think that's a little bold right now,
I
Bryce.
know it's bold. I know,
The man's played
but
one NBA scrimmage.
I'm willing to take it that far. But if they can have Jamal Murray, and whether it's Gary Harris sticking around or maybe they trade for a better shooting guard, and then either Michael Porter will be their future either small forward or power forward, or maybe Bol is the future power forward because I don't know if you
Now,
want him
Bobo's
to start.
at this point. He's going to be the future small shooting guard at this point by tomorrow. I mean, the way they're going, but
Yeah,
uh,
but and then Jokic, he'll be around for much longer as well at center. I mean, that's gonna be a really young team, and at least a few of those guys are still gonna be in their prime a few years from now. I mean, that's looking like a death lineup if you ask me. So if Bol can, if they're gonna play him in these 8 games and he can get some it's only 8 games, but if he can get some fairly good experience, and if Michael Porter Jr. slowly, gradually gets more minutes next year, along with hopefully Bol Bol, I mean, I think the sky's the limit for those guys.
yeah,
So
the
I'm
Nuggets
excited.
will. No, I think the Nuggets will be good in the future. We'll see how well. I don't know. It's going to be really tough with all the movement going on in the NBA right now. They were one of the few teams that didn't make many moves last year, so we'll see if that comes back to bite them or if they're not making moves because they want to look towards the future. and we'll see maybe when the cap clears up if they can get someone and get Millsap out of there. I think Millsap last year being hurt didn't help them, and he's getting older. So we'll definitely see in the future. But yeah, they do have a bright future with everyone around them, and especially like you said, Michael Porter Jr. and Bol Bol, if they can keep going, not getting hurt, their shot. That'd be really nice to have 3, 4, 5 at Porter, Bol Bol, and then Jokic. So
Yeah.
and Murray at the 1. Excuse me, I didn't talk about Murray. I see you. You tell me you're sold on Gary Harris. I'm not too sold on him. I
I'm
know
not
he's a really
necessarily sold in him. I'm just convinced he's going to have a comeback season next year.
He's good at the shooting guard position for them. I think he's really good, but the problem is he needs to be literally a 3-and-D guy, and if he can't hit the 3 correct, like at a very good level, or be able to play defense the way they need him to, or he doesn't, if he struggles here and there, that's not. They can't have it. They can't have a young guard struggling. They need to have if anything, a young guard who's not struggling, who's consistent. So we'll see moving forward, but we'll see.
And it might sound weird, but with Michael Porter Jr. and Bol Bol, the Nuggets take huge risks in the drafting injured guys who have a lot of hype around them. It's
Bol Bol
risky,
wasn't.
but I like those picks. I'm sold on it.
Well, Bol Bol wasn't. Michael Porter Jr. was a really high pick. He was a lottery pick, if I'm correct.
He was 14th. Yep.
Yeah, that was a lottery pick. And then as far as Bol Bol, he was a second round pick, 44th. That's not really a gamble. I mean, usually they're either hit or miss in the second round. So honestly, I don't know if Bol Bol was necessarily a chance they were taking. I mean, they were taking a chance on a guy who was hurt, but they weren't taking a chance, I would say, necessarily on wasting a pick. But.
Sure.
But if he ends up, it's one of those things. If he ends up not turning out okay, then so be it. But if he does really well, then it was one of the biggest steals we'll see in a while.
So moving on to baseball news for you guys in the MLB. Before opening day, one of the last spring training games, the Astros were playing the Royals, and George Springer, Jose Altuve, and Alex Bregman all got hit by pitches. Not really a coincidence. I think we all know that. And I mean, I guess this is what, I guess this is the beginning of what we're going to see as, what's coming for the Astros this season. We all know what happened with the scandal. So,
see, I look at it and they're saying, honestly, the Yankees could have been hit 3 times on the same day and no one would have said anything. Someone on the Cardinals could have been hit 3 times. It wouldn't have said anything. It was obviously because it was the Astros. The fact that it was consecutive at-bats, they're saying, and it doesn't look like it was, one of them to Springer was a 75-mile-per-hour breaking ball. And then
that's
the other
an
2,
accident.
Yeah, and then the other 2 back-to-back on Altuve and Bregman, the bases were loaded. So why would you try to throw at someone when the bases are loaded? So I understand why someone would say, to make the case that it wasn't intentional. I don't think it was, but I think it's going to be funny anytime we hear someone on the team gets hit at this point.
Yeah, I think Rob Manfred is trying to make like an unwritten rule, like, hey, or not an unwritten rule, but saying if you throw Astros players on purpose, you're gonna get fined. But it's gonna happen anyway. They're gonna get thrown at this year.
Yeah, and we'll see who ends up throwing at him first with a 99-mile-per-hour fastball.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And even the Yankees and the Red Sox got to watch out. So we'll see.
Potentially.
I'd really like to see Yankees Dodgers World Series and the Dodgers just throw at them. Just throw at them at least once or twice there. That'd be really interesting. I want to see only because I'm a Yankees fan, but if the Astros were in the World Series, I'd just love to see that. I want to see a fight in the World Series. That'd be great to watch. But not that I want to see the fight. I don't want to see anyone get hurt. But if someone got plunked and then there is a fight, come on. Baseball needs that. Baseball needs that right now. So for this segment, we're going to be doing something new. This is going to be on the fence Hall of Famers. So these are going to be players. We just made a short list of 5 or 6 that we think could be on the fence of Hall of Fame, and we're just going to discuss our opinions and see what we're thinking about that. So for the first one, Bryce, we have Derrick Rose.
This is kind of a tough one. I mean, it is on the fence, but he was an MVP. How many players in the history of basketball are an MVP and not a Hall of Famer? And Derrick Rose has had a really weird career, like 3 or 4 like fantastic years, and then because of injuries, of course, he's never been the same, and he's never had like great playoff success or anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and say he's not gonna be a Hall of Famer, although he has said himself that he thinks he is. An MVP award is great, but it's just like that's the only thing he has.
Yeah, I mean, he only has three All-Star games at 21, 22, and 23. He was the youngest to win an MVP, but the problem is it was for too short of a time. It was for only 3, 4 seasons that he was truly an All-Star or playing at All-Star caliber level. Yes, he did score 18 points per game with the Knicks. The 2014-15 season, he was 17.7 points per game. But you have to look at it as a whole. And after his three highest assist totals were the first 4 seasons of his career. That's just not a big enough sample size to know that this guy was going to be good the rest of his career. I feel like, injury or not.
All right, so next on the list we got Alex Rodriguez.
A-Rod. No, only because of the steroids. Other than that, he makes it, but it's going to be like a Barry Bonds situation. So
Yeah, I would say no, also literally just because of the steroids. And also, I'm also really mad at the Yankees for not playing him more so he could get those like 3, 4, 5 more home runs. Um, but yeah, I mean, without the steroids, definitely. But literally, he's kind of not, literally just because of the steroids.
yeah, there's not much more to say, I think, about him other than that. I mean, just steroids got in the way of it. But the next one we have Clayton Kershaw. Bryce, what do you think?
Um, Clayton Kershaw is great. I really like him. He kind of chokes in the playoffs. Not kind of, he does. He should probably have at least one World Series by now. Um, I think he can get a World Series ring, or maybe even 2 before he retires. But even without that, I'm gonna go ahead and say he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's just been so dominant for such a long time. I can't ignore that. And his curveball is nasty. So I'm gonna say he has a good shot at being a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, well, I think we'll see. I think he's got to do a little more. He's got one, two, three. He's got 8 All Stars, and he has 2 Cy Young awards, or 3 actually. Excuse me. And he's only 31. So if he keeps up what he was at least doing last year for at least 3, 4 more years, I think he'll be a lock-in Hall of Famer if he can at least be an All Star for 3, 4 more
Yeah,
years. I think his Cy Young days are behind him. That's for sure.
yeah,
But other than that, he was and he still is probably one of the better pitchers during the regular season right now. Probably that was at points that we've ever seen, maybe at certain times of his career. Yeah.
right. All right, so next on the list we got Madison Bumgarner, another pitcher.
Absolutely not. Um,
Really?
yeah, he's great player, great pitcher, good stats. I think his win to loss total is a little too close at 119 and 92. I think, I mean, he's 30. He's got to be, I think he's got to get back to what he was a couple of years ago to really prove that he could do it. He's only a 4-time All-Star. Yes, he did win two or three World
Three.
Series.
Three.
3. Um, I think I need to see a couple more All-Stars out of him and potentially a top 5 Cy Young candidate in the next few years to lock him in maybe as a Hall of Famer.
I am not gonna blame him for the win to loss ratio. You can easily lose games because your fielders sucked. So I'm not gonna harp on him for that. I'm gonna say he is a Hall of Famer. He's always been either the best or one of the best pitchers for the Giants ever since he started playing for them. And he won 3 World Series in 5 years. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't ignore that. 3 World
Well,
Series every other year.
well, his
I
ERA was above 3 the past since 2017, not including this year. So that's a little tough to count someone in if their ERA is above 3, their win-loss record. I I don't know.
I don't think an above 3 ERA is terrible though. I mean, it's very tough to have your ERA under 3. So I'm not gonna count him out for having an above 3 ERA either.
Mhm. I mean, we will just mention too that he has 2 Silver Slugger awards as a pitcher. Not many pitchers get to say they have 2, uh, or at least I think not many pitchers get to say they have 2. Um, he did rake. He did rake while he was a hitter at times, but yeah. So the next one though we have is Draymond Green.
This is a close one. His career stats aren't anything too fancy. He usually averages somewhere between like 8 and 10 points. Although I do like that he usually averages 7 rebounds, 5 assists. That just shows you that his game is kind of an all-around game. I know his three-point shot isn't the best. He gets crapped on a lot for that. Although I think his three-point shot's a little underrated. I think he gets too much stuff for that. But he is a two-time Defensive Player of the Year, um, and he's always been, except for the Kevin Durant years, he's been the third best player on that Warriors team, and he has 3 championships. It's a close one, but I think the awards kind of outdo the stats, and his stats don't always necessarily represent his impact on the court. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Draymond Green is a Hall of Famer.
Because it's the NBA, I'm calling him a Hall of Famer. He's averaged 9 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 5 assists per game in his career.
I
He
was
does have
close.
3. Yeah, you were. I was going to say you were pretty close. He's got 3 All-Stars, a gold medal, I think, with the Olympics, if I'm correct. In
Yeah,
14, 15, yep. And then he did have three rings with the Warriors. So yeah, only again because it's the NBA. But if this
but
is
if
another
your
league, I don't.
expectations were higher, probably not.
Yeah, or if it's again like if this is Major League Baseball, definitely not. But he'll make it. Yeah.
All right, so we got one more person on our on the fence Hall of Fame list, and that would be Kevin Love.
Hall of Famer, and I say that because the man has not averaged less than 16 points in his whole career except for his first 2 seasons, and that was even with Cleveland. Everyone forgets that he goes to Cleveland. He's 25 years old, gets traded there for 14, 15, and his averages drop 10 points per game. Rebounds drop slightly, and his assist totals, I mean, they've always been low except for 1 season. But when you look at it, I think he winning the ring definitely helped him. But you have to look at it in the fact that he's basically Chris Bosh. He did exactly what Chris Bosh did with the Heat, and not even in the playoffs in the regular season. He's still proved. Maybe now because of all the injuries, it's tough. But if you look at him, the first few years he was with Cleveland, he definitely could have kept going. He kept doing what he was doing on the court, but due to the fact that he was with Mr. LeBron and Kyrie Irving, his stats dropped a bit.
I like that Chris Bosh comparison. I think their careers were fairly similar. Yeah, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I didn't realize he was only 25 when he got traded. So,
Yeah, he
wow.
was he was playing on the 14-15 Cleveland team with at 26 years
Right.
old.
Yeah, look, I
So
mean, I know the Timberwolves don't have like a successful history, but he's a top three Timberwolf, I would say. Um, and I mean, his 20 and 10 days were great, and that was going for him for a long time. And if he never got traded to a team with multiple other All-Stars, those years only would have continued. The
yeah,
only reason his stats dropped off to like 17 and 7 about is because he was playing with LeBron and Kyrie. And even then, he still had a really good impact. I think even though his stats were still really respectable, I think his impact was greater than what his stats showed. And he does have that ring with Cleveland, and I don't know how many All-Star games he has, but I'm sure a lot of them come from his Timberwolves days. Um,
He's got 5 total. 3 were with the Timberwolves.
okay, so five, it's not bad. Um, And yeah, I mean, he's evolved his game. His three-point shot has gotten better like throughout his career. So yeah, I like him a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and say he's a Hall of Famer.
So for today, we're going to be going back to the NFL divisions. This week, we're going to be doing the AFC South. And that's the Colts, Texans, Titans, and Jaguars. Bryce, what are your order, or what's your order?
Um, I'm gonna go with it's gonna be close between the Titans and Texans. So Titans first, Texans second. I'll say Colts even right behind in third place. And then I don't think the Jaguars are gonna do too well, so I got them last.
Yeah, I got the Titans, Colts, Texans, and Jaguars. And the only reason I would say the Texans are behind the Colts is that DeAndre Hopkins is gone. So I don't know. I mean, there's nothing much more to say there. I think they're all going to be pretty close to the number 1 spot, like you said. But and then if Minshew Mania ends up being an actual thing, we'll see how the Jaguars end up doing.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is a hit to the Texans, so we'll see how they handle that.
I think Bill O'Brien's part of the problem of that team. I think if once he's gone, it'll definitely help. But yeah. So for the next part, we're going to be doing Brightest Future. Who's that?
Brightest future. Hmm. You know what? I'm gonna say the Titans. I like the playoff run they had last season. That was really unexpected. Huge underdogs. I like Derrick Henry. So you know what? I think they can make some magic happen in the future. Why not? Titans underdogs. Let's do it.
I'm going to say Colts, and only because once Phillip Rivers is gone, that rest of that team's young. They still do have T.Y. Hilton, who's at 28 years old. He's kind of getting older, but he's not too old yet. And they do have Jacoby Brissett, which I think he will end up turning out to be a good quarterback in this league if he's given a second chance. So I think Brissett after this year with Phillip Rivers, he'll be back and doing his thing. And for the next part, it's the most improved for next year. What do you have?
Most improved. Um. hmm. I think it's kind of close between the Titans and Colts. I think it would be a cool story if the Colts can put together a really good season after losing Andrew Luck to retirement. Um, I'd also kind of like to just say the Titans because, I mean, I think they kind of exceeded expectations last year. So that was an improved season by itself. So maybe they can do that again a second year in a row. So either the Colts or the Titans.
I'm going to agree with you. I think for the Titans, it'll be by wins, and I think for the Colts, it'll be by wins and just team overall in general. I think they're just a better team from last year. So I would agree with you there that it could be either way for most improved next year.
Yeah, I think the Colts have a lot of players that are gonna grow and just get better as the season goes on. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching episode 15 of Down to the Wire. I'm Bryce.
I'm Ross.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment whatever thoughts or opinions you have, and we will see you next time.